What's good, everybody? If you're a youngin and you came to the sport late, like I did, there's a bunch of fighters that you've never seen fight that always get thrown in our faces. They're like, this is the best guy to ever do it, this is the GOAT, this is that. One such case is this young fella right here, Mr. TJ Dillashaw, Mr. Glass Shoulders himself, Mr. CEO of EPO. I've gathered you here today so we can go over the good, the bad, and the ugly of TJ's career from the perspective of someone who's never seen TJ fight, alright? Not once in my life have I seen this man fight live. Was TJ Dillashaw really elite? That's the question we'll be answering today. Shout out Emmett LePage for the video idea. Let's get right into it. The good. Now, TJ Dillashaw was a super exciting fighter. You go and you watch his fights and it's actually cinema. He had 17 professional MMA wins, of which he won 8 by knockout, and he has 3 by submission. He has a 65% finish rate in a division in the bantamweights that has like between 40 to 50% on the high end, alright? These bantamweights are going to decision 60% of the time, and this guy was going in there finishing guys, 65% finish rate, just nasty, right? You think of like Dominic Cruz, you think of, Aljamain Sterling. These guys have more decisions than anything else, and this guy, he was cooking, man, especially for the little guys. In his skill set wise, this guy was actually really good. He had really good power for the division. He had really good footwork. In his fight with Dominic Cruz, we're going to talk about it later. It was like, wow, it was like anything I've ever seen. These guys were angling off. He comes off of a weird angle. He throws a kick. He throws a punch. He uppercuts from like the fucking, it feels like he's uppercutting you from the floor. And he throws a leg kick out of nowhere. Like, watching this guy fight, he mixed it up. He was improvising in there. It was really a treat to watch. He reminded me a lot of Prime Connor with the shot selection, where the shots came from, the angles, all that. He played some really good mind games in and out of the octagon. And I have to include that in skill set, bruh. It's one of your skills. There's motherfuckers that don't know how to talk. You look at Leon Edwards. He doesn't know how to talk. He doesn't know how to sell a fight. Then you look at Colby Covington, and that's low-key his best skill. He's like a hooker. His mouth is his best tool. If you guys follow the pressers and that stuff at a time, like I went back and rewatched all of them, it was just, you could tell he was in their head, right? Especially against Cody Garbrandt. We're going to get into it later, all right? Next, one of the best moments of TJ's career was his first fight against Barao. This was really the beginning of the legend of TJ Dillashaw. He was going into this fight, and Barao was genuinely on a 31 fight win streak, bruh. This guy was beating hella jobbers in Brazil, comes over and then starts beating fuckers like Eddie Wineland and Uriah Faber. Like, he just came over here and just put belt to ass, bruh. He beat Uriah Faber's ass twice, too. No one on earth thought TJ Dillashaw stood any type of chance, right? And justifiably so. At this point, TJ was 10-2 in his fights. He was pretty unproven. He'd been basically just going up against some bantamweight jobbers, and now he was going up against what was essentially the fucking GOAT, bro. 31 fight win streak is actually crazy. At one point, the odds for this fight were Dillashaw plus 760 underdog, and Barao is a 900 favorite, bro. This is boxing odds. These are odds that you see in Jamal Crawford's fights. These are odds that you see in the Canelo fights. It's actually insane that the odds would get that bad. The odds houses, they didn't even give Dillashaw like the decency of a knockout, right? Like in MMA, anything can happen. Anyone can land a knockout blow. But bro, minus 900 favorite is insane. No one gave him a chance to win. No one even thought he was going to finish him, of course, if they don't think he's going to win. And this guy not only finished him, he finished him in the 5th round and beat his ass the other 4. Like, it was not close. It was amazing, man. Dillashaw beat Barao's ass for 4 rounds, put him away in the 5th, beautiful head kick, some follow-up ground and pound, and just the whole fight, he was clipping him. He dropped Barao, he fucking hit him with elbows, styling on him, Superman punches. He was just in the Matrix, man. It was amazing ass beating to watch, and it gave me vibes to another bantamweight fight in Dominic Cruz versus Cody Garbrandt. Like, very, amazing to watch. Title defenses. Now, in his first reign, he had 2 title defenses. First was Joe Soto, who was supposed to be Renan Barao, right? Renan Barao had to drop out, I believe, because of a weight issue. So Joe Soto came in, late replacement, whatever, right? He was a jiu-jitsu guy coming off of a 6-fight win streak. Not deserving, short notice, but whatever, man. Early in the fight, it was competitive, and then TJ just fucking kicked bro out cold in the last round. Like, just cinema, right? His second title defense was the Barao rematch, which was deserved. This guy was on a 31 fight win streak, as we've said. And this time, it was just even more dominant, bruh. Barao showed that he had nothing for TJ, and TJ just beat his ass again over 4 rounds, even worse than before, and then finished him up just opening up against the fence, and the ref had to step in. Amazing. Just an amazing performance. Flow state, both fights. Just cinema, alright? Next, another good aspect of TJ's career was the Assunção rematch. After their first fight, which we're going to talk about later, and the loss to the Big D Cruz, Big Dummy Boy, TJ was looking to get back in the win column, and he got back in amazing fashion against one of his career losses, right? Their first fight ended in split decision. I couldn't find barely any footage of that first fight. This rematch was competitive through 3 rounds on top of this radioactive-ass UFC 200 canvas, and basically TJ just landed more takedowns, landed more strikes, was able to drop Assunção twice, and just got him a win, man. This win does a lot for his resume in the same way that GSP got his wins back from Matt Serra and Matt Hughes. This is the same thing, alright? It does a lot for his resume. It really does put him up there. Next, his second title reign against Cody Garbrandt. The GOAT. Cody, I love you, brother. After he beat Assunção, TJ got another win over a random called John Lineker. If you guys know who he is, let me know, alright? And he was lined up to fight the former champion. Well, the current champion, but former teammate, Cody Garbrandt. The GOAT. As we all know, TJ was regarded by like a snake by Team Alpha Male. He left the gym. He went to another gym, and he went to whatever. Like there was just some drama. We all know that McGregor clip. There was a ton of bad blood in the build-up. The fucking press conferences were crazy. The shit talking was crazy. And these guys were just like wanting to beat the fuck out of each other. They were both stars, and they ended up having 2 fights, of which Cody won both by KO inside 2 rounds. All right. Although the results seem definitive, this is a point I can't give like TJ the full credit. I do believe to this day that Cody could have won both of those fights, alright? That might be a little bit of a Cody glaze, right? But these guys in their prime were an excellent match for each other. And in the first fight, bro, Cody dropped TJ right before the first round ended. Give that fight 5 more seconds, and maybe the ref steps in. If Cody hadn't scrapped and like he'd stuck to his guns, he's a way faster, more fluid fighter than TJ Dillashaw, he could have won that fight, bro. He could have won those fights. But again, if my grandma had wheels, she'd be a bike, bro. Alright? Next, the win against up-and-coming Sandhagen. Now, this is a win with a lot of asterisks. This is like the last good thing that TJ did in his career. He was coming off of a failed flyweight endeavor where he got knocked out by Cejudo. And then we were talking about, the EPO stuff. We're going to talk about it later. Sandhagen was pretty close in a couple moments in this fight with some subs. He had a reverse triangle, I believe. He went for an armbar and shit, an inside heel hook. TJ got really cut up bad with a spinning elbow. But as the fight drew on, we could tell that Sandhagen probably started to slow down, and TJ just kind of took over a little bit. All right. Honestly, watching the fight back, Sandhagen low-key got robbed. I cannot lie to you guys. All right. But hey, man, this is a TJ Glaze video, so we're gonna glaze TJ, and it's not his fault that the judges messed up. All right. Let's get on to the bad. Now, I'm sorry, Emmett LePage, my brother. I'm sorry we got to go over this part, but we got to do it. Skill-wise, honestly, there's not really anything bad to say about TJ. He had really good striking, very competent on the ground, very aggressive on the ground. It sucks to say, but the only bad things about TJ skill-wise is that he was kind of chinny, and he was very injury-prone, okay? He popped out his shoulder. He had to retire because of the shoulder. He's gotten chinned a couple times. How do you get chinned by Henry Cejudo? That's fucking crazy. It's things he can't control, so we can't really fault him too bad. But this is the bad part of his skill set. Now, in like accolades-wise or like, fight-wise, his first fight against Assunção, we have to mention it. I could not find any pictures of this fight. I don't know if this is even a picture. I think this is a Barao fight. I couldn't find any pictures from the first fight. But we have to mention that the loss he had to Rafael Assunção very early in his career. It was competitive. It earned fight of the night. This and that, whatever. The judges were very split. But man, I mean, the ass beating he gave Assunção later in their careers, like I honestly don't care about this fight that much. I would just sweep it under the rug. Like this doesn't hold that much weight to me. It's just a number on his record, As a loss, it's really not that bad. It's kind of like a Matt Serra loss, all right? Next, TJ versus Cruz. Now, this was a fucking banger. Dominic Cruz, you got to mention him. The hardcores love mentioning this guy whenever you talk about the bantamweight division. He came over, I think, from the WEC, and he's, up until recently, he was considered the bantamweight GOAT, up until Aljo and Marab, came into the scene. And honestly, this is not a bad loss to have on your resume, bro. Hear me out. Cruz was so good, and TJ took him to a split decision. The fight itself was super super impressive. Both of these guys in their prime, they fought in very similar ways. In a way, you know, Dominic was more fluid and his striking was a little bit more like angly, and TJ was more compressed and powerful. He was like a spring. He was springing forward, huge, hard punches, but they guys were both like very fluid and they're very good at improvising with their striking. This fight could have gone either way, honestly. And it's not a loss that in my book hurts TJ Dillashaw's legacy in any meaningful way. Cruz looked like the older brother and he had like a little bit better hands than TJ in this fight. But both guys were able to bring themselves into the 5th round, into the deep waters, and it was clear that they were both super beat up, right? You know, TJ had lost all power in his arms and then Dominic Cruz couldn't walk by the end of this fight, so just beautiful, beautiful performances from both of these guys. Truly, truly, and very just like a mesmerizing display of skill, bro. And it does not feel like a devastating loss in the slightest, all right? Now, what does feel devastating are the 2 losses that he had to Cejudo and Sterling. Fucking tragic. Cejudo just had an early finish, first 30 seconds over TJ. And after seeing the brutal weight cut that he went to, you know, we've all seen the TJ Dillashaw edits. It's what happens, bro. The ref had to step in. It was an early stoppage, you know. For my money, TJ was probably going to scramble up from that. Whether he would have recovered, that's another story. But man, you know, knowing what TJ was going into the fight we're going to talk about in a moment, you know, wink wink, he could have won that fight. And the Aljo fight, there's just no way of excusing it, all right? We do have to mention he was coming off of his 3-year suspension that we're going to talk about in a second. And in the first minute, he posts on his arm and just like rips his shoulder out of the socket. But TJ, he was super tough. He really toughed it out. He was fighting Aljo with one arm. He survived with Aljo on his back with one arm. And, you know, in the second round, he just had to get finished with ground and pound. It was a really hard watch, especially as someone who at this point, like, I've been researching TJ for like hours. And I was like, damn, you know, I really like this guy's fight. So I like how watching this fight was tragic. I can't imagine how you feel, my boy, you know. Emmett LePage, I'm sorry you had to watch this, brother. All right? The Ugly. The Ugly. CEO of EPO. Now, how can we not mention the EPO if we talk about TJ, all right? It sucks that this is the part that, like, I have to put at the end of the video. The aftermath of the loss to Cejudo, it came out that TJ had tested positive for erythropoietin, known as EPO, all right? You guys have to assume I said that right. EPO, which is a performance enhancer that gives you, like, really crazy, crazy cardio. And yeah, man, he was stripped of his bantamweight title for 2 years, and he was banned. He was stripped and banned for 2 years, and then, you know, he had to relinquish everything and just go basically into like an early retirement, which he then came out of, right? But it's just really tragic. In conclusion, we have to talk about everything, all right? Having looked at all the facts, was TJ Dillashaw really elite, you know, as the unks say? For me, it has to be a resounding yes. This man was being the best in the world when they were on their A game. No matter if it was like Cody, Rafael Assunção, fucking Barral, whoever it was. Even if they started going on loss streaks after they fought TJ, it was always after they fought TJ. TJ was that guy, all right? He had 2 separate championship like title reigns, which were very, very impressive, and he had an amazing scrap with the GOAT at the time, Dominic Cruz. His loss to Cejudo, you know, it was an early stoppage, so we can give him some leeway there. And his loss to Sterling definitely would have played out differently if he had, you know, an intact shoulder. So in that way, those losses don't really they don't weigh as much. But then, we have to talk about it. You know, it's really easy to praise his wins. It's hard to make excuses for his losses, except for the EPO. It calls the whole legacy in question. How long was this guy using EPO for? Was it just a Cejudo fight? Was it the Renan Barral fight? Had he already started at the beginning of his career? You know, but that's all speculation. From what we do know, I think TJ had one of the best primes, one of the most impressive resumes win-wise, right? And he was just a real BMF of the lighter weight classes. Fought everybody. Came in on short notice, fought the best guys in their best moments, in their primes. Just cinema, all right? Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys think of TJ Dillashaw down below. Was he all he's hyped up to be? Or has he actually lost a lot of respect over the years? Like, you know, does he deserve more respect from the community? Thank you guys for watching. I have to go study for my exams, bro. I'm going to be cooked. Ciao.